It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That, of course, is Extreme with It's a Monster from Pornograffiti. And Extreme has a brand new DVD out there called Pornograffiti Live 25, the Metal Meltdown Live. And on the phone right now is the monster himself of Extreme. It's Mr. Gary Cherone. Gary, how are you, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me, Chris.
Sure. Well, Gary, I'm going to go backwards and then lead into the DVD, if that's okay, because I wanted to talk a little bit about the Pornograffiti record with you.
Sure.
Certainly 25 years ago is when it was recorded, or 26 at this point. But when you guys first did that record, I mean, you had some success, a decent amount of success with the first record. And then you went into this record. What were your hopes and your expectations leading into this release? Did you guys really feel like it was going to be the one to explode for you, or were you just hoping that people dug it, or where were you at that point in your career?
Yeah, I think that, if you want to call it the success or why we were prepared going into Pornograffiti really stems from the first record being delayed. Our first record, just Extreme, came out in 89. It should have came out in 88, but some remixes and, record company delays. So we put out the first record in 89, but by the time it came out, we were starting to write Pornograffiti. We were in the clubs, doing the club tours. And I remember that first tour, we were starting to do songs like Decadence Dance and Get the Funk Out. Those songs were written. So because of that delay, we were so prepared going in for the second record. We had those songs in our back pocket, some of the themes that eventually, the themes of the record. Mm-hmm. And we were just prepared going into Pornograffiti. And obviously, our sophomore effort, we were a little bit more familiar with the studio. We didn't get the red light syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
We were a little more seasoned,
Sure.
going in there. So.
Definitely.
So I think that attributed to, the sound, the performances, though, I can't say we had no idea how successful that record was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
We just thought it was a better record.
Okay. Now, when you guys put it out, you were at the tail end, I guess, of the big outcry for, the PMRC and, dirty stuff and whatever. And then here you guys come more or less just sticking it up in everybody's face, even though the record itself, if people took the time to listen to the record, it's really not that, but just the word porno or the term porno in it shocked a lot of people. Did you have battles that you had to fight with that, or were people past that at that point?
The record company maybe raised an eyebrow for the title, but I remember a few meetings and dinners with some of the guys and the A&R guys, and they backed us. I mean, I don't know what record came out that year, but I'm sure ours wasn't the most offensive title ever,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Now with Pornograffiti, certainly had hits, had the biggest hit of your career with More Than Words. I personally have always said that single really made you guys the most misclassified band of that entire era of music, because anybody that heard that, or even Wholehearted to some extent, looked at you guys as in the same vein as like a Nelson, and I'm not shitting on them or nothing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying that's what people thought. They didn't hear It's a Monster, Pornograffiti, whatever, that really showed that you guys were a much more heavy band. Now looking back at it, do you wish things had gone a different way, or are you okay with the way they went? Because there's no denying it did really launch the band.
Oh, yeah, you nailed it. I mean, looking back on Pornograffiti and the tour run, we first put out Decadence Dance and then Get the Funk Out, 2 tracks. May have got on the Headbangers Ball, but we really didn't get any traction. We're 9 months into the record. We're starting to write the third record, 3 Sides Every Story.
Right.
And we're doing club tours. The band's a little, playing big, a little bigger audiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was a radio station in Philadelphia that started playing More Than Words. It started to domino. Record companies do a video. I think it was a combination of lots of things. I want to get to your point, but More Than Words, in the era of power ballads, it often gets lumped in with power ballads. I think it was the furthest thing from, when I think of power ballads, I think of, big harmony, big harmony choruses and big drums coming in at the end. I mean, More Than Words was stripped down, one guitar.
Sure.
One guitar, two vocals. But to your point, here we go, the video, More Than Words is starting to explode on the radio. We follow it up with another acoustic track, and, you got people going into record stores, asking for the, two Italian kids singing that sweet, sweet acoustic song. So there was that confusion, and, people, it's funny, people will go, oh yeah, More Than Words. It's in the metal rock section under Pornograffiti, and they go, no, not that. That can't be the band,
right?
And but looking back, we had no idea how big the song was going to be. So looking back, I say to myself, would we be celebrating 25 years of Pornograffiti if it wasn't for the success of that song that introduced, I guess, the mainstream to Get the Funk Outs and Decadence and the rest of the record. So I think we owe a debt to the song. It really took a life of its own. It was bigger than the band. I mean, people, to this day, people know the song. They might not know who the hell sings it.
Sure. Exactly. Now, and I can attest to that. Even in the live setting, I saw you guys. I don't know what year this would have been, like 92, 3, somewhere in there, when you guys were opening for Bon Jovi, and you guys came out, and the thing I remember most is that you guys like kind of climbed over the rack of amps in the back and then just started playing. But when you started playing, I looked around at all the girls in the audience, and most of them were like, what the hell is this? This isn't Lay Your Hands on Me or More Than Words, or, this is heavy, right. And people really did not. It's weird because in that era, people bought albums, but people, for whatever reason, did not grasp that you guys were also a heavy band. It's a weird phenomenon with you guys.
Yeah. I think you're right again. During that period, the band, just before we exploded, with that song, you really, we'd back up. We'd be the third band on a bill, and heads wouldn't turn until we sat down and played the song. But it'd be this mayhem before that. I remember being on the ZZ Top tour, and I think Dusty came up to us and goes, "Yeah, you guys got a couple good songs," talking about Wholehearted and More Than Words,
right?
And so we kind of loved. It wasn't shocking people, but the fans that knew More Than Words, we were out there to prove it every night.
Sure.
And again, now looking back, I mean, it was 1/10 of what the band did.
Right.
Was the ballad or the More Than Words kind of stuff.
Sure. Now, you guys played out the string, so to speak. You had a couple more albums after Pornograffiti, and then you guys put Extreme away for a little while, and you all went off and did your own things. No secret with you. You did Van Halen, but you also had Hurt Smile, and you had Tribe of Judah. And certainly Nuno has done solo records and touring with Rihanna and whatnot. And Pat has done, his own solo stuff, whatnot. Then you guys decided to get it back together. And I'm curious, what changed when you brought yourselves back? Because the music didn't change, but certainly after all those experiences away from each other, it couldn't really, I'm assuming it wasn't the same when you all got back together and just were like, okay, we're Extreme again.
Yeah, well, in a way, during that hiatus of Extreme, not putting out records and not touring, and us doing our own individual things, we were in contact. We were never, we were never separated and hated each other. I'd always have an ear to what Nuno was doing. He would be coming up to the Van Halen studios, and checking out what I was doing, and even after that, we all look back and we regret the fact that it took this long to get back together. Obviously, we came back in 2008 with a new record. And the funny thing was, when we did, we all found our comfort zone again. Because, again, the four of us, and we added K-Fig to it, we're East Coast guys. We all like the same sports teams. We all eat the same food. We were and still are a band of brothers. It wasn't that hard, and then getting on stage was it's our comfort zone,
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't, again, the stories of screwing ex-wives and
right
and drugs and all that wasn't ever extreme. It truly was always about the music.
Sure. Now, Gary, let me ask you a question about yourself, you personally. One of the things that, at this point, in 2016 that I see with a lot of different bands is that the singers have not been able to keep their voice strong. And that's not an indictment. I mean, a lot of the times that's because they've been singing high notes for 30 years and it just isn't the same. You have the same voice that you had in 1988. What have you done that has kept your voice so strong and, not really had a deterioration to it?
Yeah. Now that could be a compliment or an insult. Like, you sucked back in '89, so you still have.
I'm not saying that. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. No, I appreciate it. Listen, I look for, when I think of singers that have aged well, and I think of Tyler, and I say to myself, he's singing better than when he sang in the 70s. And how the hell does he keep on doing it? Some guys are lucky, pretty clean, no drugs, very little alcohol.
Right.
For me, the challenge wasn't necessarily vocally, it was physically, the band going up and, high energy performance, it was easier back then for me to get up and do another show. Now, you're a little older, I wake up after a show, everything's hurting. Every joint in my body's hurting.
Right.
But you get up on stage and you do it, the adrenaline, all that. I don't know. I hope, ask that question in 5-10 years when, I'm Tyler's age, because I still aspire, those guys, the Robin Zanders,
mm-hmm.
the Tylers, I still aspire to, they're setting the level.
Sure. Do you feel for yourself that what I just said was true? Do you feel that your voice is still as strong, or, you being your own worst critic, do you listen to it and go,
Yeah. I would hope, I'd like to say my voice got stronger and the records have gotten better. I think we're better, with Extreme. I'd like to think we're better performers, better players, better musicians. So, in the studio, you have that opportunity to get it right, to get it perfect. The challenge is always live, and I've had my share of bad nights, but I think my voice has gotten better.
Sure. Now, watching the new DVD, which is called Pornograffiti Live 25 Metal Meltdown Live, big long title. As someone that has seen the band several times, over the course of your career, I can absolutely say that the DVD represents the same amount of energy that you've been doing from start till now, and not just you, Nuno, everybody in the band has that big energy to the performances. Now, I know you said that it's difficult, the next day. Is is it going into a show, I guess, is where I always wonder if bands have more of a struggle. You know, I know it's fun when you get out there, but then there's that, all right, you know, got to get ready, got to do this again, got to sing these same songs again. Do you guys all have that same rush that you did, you know, previous in your career?
I can say absolutely. This band is almost, there's a screw loose with this band because we actually, I mean, we truly go out there and thinking we have to prove it every night. And, you know, I tell the guys, you know, put on your Full Metal jacket. And everyone rises to the occasion. Granted, you know, 2 nights in a row or 3 nights in a row, the energy level might dissipate, you know, 80% or whatever, because you just don't, you know, you can't put out 100%. You're exhausted. You want to
right.
crawl back in its hotel room. But I think the video is a great example of what the band does live. I mean, there was, I think, 18 cameras. The production was great, but it truly is the 4 of us just, you know, making noise and trying to excite the audience with the music. But you know, that's it for me. That's my high. That's my drug. And
sure.
I can say that for the band. It's always been about that, and I think it shows. And I think we're doing a lot of festivals, you know, over the years now with a lot of contemporary bands, and we go out there we go out there to prove it to ourselves every night.
Right.
You know.
Sure, definitely. Now, is there, in your eyes, and I know you're biased on this one, but in your eyes, is there a better guitarist that gets less attention than Nuno?
No, you're nailing this. What Nuno does live, you know, with his performance and me bumping into him all night is amazing. I've gotten many a dirty look as I trip up his chord or
right.
bang into him while he's doing Get the Funk Out. You know, he just did a tour with Generation X, Steve Vai and Yngwie and Zach.
Right.
And that was amazing. So he belongs in that category. He's underrated. I mean, the guitar people know who he is, but as far as I still think he's underrated. I mean, what he does live and the DVD, some of the B-roll, you got Brian May praising Nuno. I don't know if you've seen that clip yet on the DVD, but that pretty much says it all. I think Nuno, when he saw that, he was almost moved to tears because, you know, Brian, obviously one of his heroes. Nuno, you know, what more can you say? I've seen it. I saw it when I met him, when he was 18 years old. In 1985, and the kid blew me away then.
Sure, he's definitely a great player, man. And now you mentioned Brian May, and I'll bring this up because it's probably my favorite moment of what I've seen of your career, which is obviously a very tiny microcosm. But the performance that you did with the Freddie Mercury tribute concert. That is one of the most amazing things, you know, not because you hammered the song well, you know, with Hammer to Fall, but just you literally brought that Freddie Mercury energy to that stage. It's really, if people haven't seen it, they need to go to YouTube, or I don't know if it's even for sale or what, but they need to hear it and see it because that's that had to be quite an experience for you.
I think it was all downhill from there. That was, you know, collectively Extreme's probably finest moment. And plus, we were happy that we all had a good show. We went off stage, we looked at each other going, you know, how'd you do? How'd you do? How'd you do? You know,
right.
It was a whirlwind, you know. Just being on stage at Wembley Stadium was overwhelming. And even the rehearsals, forget about the show. But, you know, the day before rehearsals with Annie Lennox, you know, you're standing next to Annie Lennox waiting to go sing your song with Queen. I'm looking at myself going, am I even here? You know?
Right.
So, but that night, that show was one of the highlights of our lives.
Sure.
And for me, obviously, for the whole band, we were Queen fanatics, still are. Collectively as a band, they were in our DNA. So when we were asked to be a part of that, we immediately went, "Fuck this! We're not playing our own song."
Right.
We were close to, we said, "Fuck it! We're gonna, we're doing Queen."
Right.
And then that was the hard part. What the hell are you gonna do? Well, we're gonna do a medley like Queen did,
Right.
Live Aid. So we put our medley together, and it was like. Forget about it. Once we started, the audience took over, and it was easy from that point. We were just happy we had a good performance. Can you imagine if we fucked up?
Right.
We'd be having a different conversation.
Definitely. Nice.
So, but it was quite a moment.
Sure, it definitely is, and people should go check that out. I know it's on YouTube, so people can look there if they have not seen it. But moving forward, Gary, to the new stuff, I've seen rumors and reports that you guys are working on new music. How's that coming along, and what's the timeline, or the guesstimated timeline, I guess, at this point?
Yeah, we want to come out. We don't want to play until we come out with some new music, and we're already starting to book next year. So. For the rest of the year and the beginning of the year, we'll focus on, the writings. The writing's never done, but we've got a group of songs that we're finessing, and we'll finish up the recording. We'll put out new music. I'd like to give you a date, but that's what the band's focusing on, because Pornograffiti was great. We just went to Japan and we did a piece of the third side to three sides every story. Those are little things we've wanted to do throughout our career. But new music's always great. It makes the band feel good. Give fans some new material. And then when you go out, it's so funny. Aerosmith puts out a new record, and those Aerosmith fans buy it, but then they go out and they're playing catalog. We know that there's always a balance you gotta do, because when we go out and playing these sets, when we do our own tour, focus more on new material off the new records. But when you're out there doing these festivals, you're ending up doing a catalog and maybe one or two newer tracks, But that's the focus, new music. And it's been too long, and I really don't want to play. I really don't want to go out and play without new music.
Sure, definitely. Right. Well, dude, for now, people can definitely go and get the DVD, which is called Pornograffiti Live 25, Metal Meltdown Live. Extreme is, as we said, you're working on new music. And Gary, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track from anything in your catalog, and maybe tell us a quick story about it.
I wish you told me that before so I could think. Let me see.
The hardest question of the day.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, one thing comes to mind is one of my favorites off the three sides would be "Am I Ever Gonna Change?" Or do you want something heavier?
No, you're fine there, because you literally picked my favorite song you guys have ever done. That and whatever right behind it are just the best songs you've ever written in my world.
Thanks. Yeah, am I ever going to change? The story behind that's always just been one of the band's favorites to perform. I can't remember a show that we didn't do it. We've always done it. I can't even remember the day we recorded it, but there are some songs, I won't mention those. There are some songs that I'll never listen to, maybe some off the first record.
Okay.
But three sides, I think, aged well. I think the third side, with the orchestration, and I'm Ever Gonna Change is in the middle of that. To me, I go back, and I think that's one of Extreme's finest hours.
All right, well, let's check it out right now. This is Extreme with Am I Ever Gonna Change, right here on your Classic Metal Show.